we're going to start dying of severe malnutrition and disease. And that's exactly what's happening. And in the last few months, what we've seen is that reports are indicating that food insecurity and malnutrition in Gaza has only intensified by the day. And we also know that this is because of the relentless Israeli bombardment, the ongoing restrictions that have prevented the safe delivery of humanitarian assistance, and the complete decimation of civilian infrastructure and services. That's what's leading to this situation right now.
How long would these infants, these 6 infants that have died in the last few hours, have been without food or adequate nutrition in order to have died from starvation?
You know, it's difficult to say because the situation varies, and we know that it's much worse in northern Gaza. But what I can say is that when children suffer from severe malnutrition, they are at higher likelihood of dying from common diseases like diarrhea or pneumonia or common colds because their bodies just can't withstand it. And we know that in Gaza right now, 90% of children under 5 suffer from some sort of infectious disease, and more than 70% have suffered from diarrhea in the last 2 weeks. So the situation is dire, and it's getting worse, and it won't get better unless there is a ceasefire and we're able to scale up humanitarian assistance.
What about the long-term impacts on children of not getting adequate nutrition for such long periods of time?
When children suffer from this level of malnutrition, it has a long-term impact on their physical and cognitive abilities. It'll affect them in the long term in terms of their development. We may see stunting, immediately their muscles waste away. And, you know, this situation has been getting worse over the last several weeks. You know, just the other day, one of my colleagues told me that in northern Gaza, her family members were using animal feed to feed their children, to keep them alive. And so the situation is desperate and only getting worse.
And presumably, people giving their children animal feed or feeding them leaves or so on because they are desperate, but that in itself can lead to health problems.
Absolutely. And it just shows the level of desperation that we're seeing amongst families in Gaza. I mean, we also are seeing and hearing that some families are trying to leave northern Gaza to get to the south, to Rafah, even though Israeli officials have said that there may be, that there will be an expanded ground incursion. And so it just shows the level of desperation. Families are trapped between one death trap and another.
And you talked about the situation in the north, which is particularly acute when it comes to starvation. I mean, what is your understanding about why the situation in the north is so bad?
The situation in the north is so bad. Well, first of all, the civilian infrastructure in the north has just been completely decimated, but also